Welcome, my 284 subscribers, everyone who hasn't given up on AEW yet, those of you who can form your opinions without listening to some guy on Twitter, some guy who has a podcast, those of you who just don't regurgitate shit, basically, because that's pretty much what's happening right now regarding a lot of AEW criticism. Welcome to my review of AEW Dynamite for the December 14th show. It's been a long time since the last one. Glad to be back before shit becomes heavy again. We'll see what happens. Let's begin. Okay, so let's start with the first match, and it's the Elite versus Death Triangle match number 4. And so yeah, this 7-match series was a bad idea, but as a match, this one is really solid. It's really fun, but we've seen this 3 other times. The best one is still the one with the CM Punk callbacks. Worst one was maybe match number 3. This might go up to number 2 just because of what they were trying to do, but as a whole series, come on, just watching the same dudes wrestle each other over and over again gets very tiring, and people already hate the Elite. So yeah, I mean, this was a bad idea. What a stupid booking decision. This might have been like the last stupid Tony Khan booking decision before they finally got it right with all the others. But yeah, honestly, they should have started with the special stipulations with match number 3 and then onwards with different stuff. Because yeah, now that they've announced that the last 3 matches, they're even telegraphing it reaching 7 matches. I mean, it's getting kind of obvious who's gonna win. It's obviously gonna be an Escalera de la Muerte match at the pay-per-view. Yeah, this didn't need to be this long. It could have been just 3 matches. Have each have a special stipulation or not. It would have been less tiring. Just come on. This should never happen again. It just gets people against the Elite. It gets people tired. It sort of overexposes them and Death Triangle with their style. So yeah, I mean, we need fresh fucking matchups with both of these teams, or each of them individually or as tag teams. Just bring it back. Just scale things back. Stop having the same shit over and over again. I just can't stop saying that. But yeah. Okay. I mean, at least have singles matches between each member. Come on. But as a match in a vacuum, if you don't consider everything that's happening around it, it's actually the usual awesome Death Triangle versus the Elite match. It's the tag team moves are still seamless and flowing with a little of the wait and stall spots. But as the match goes on, that doesn't happen anymore. The story of the match is that the Elite are down 1 person because Nick Jackson's leg is taken out, and this plays to the end of the match. It factors into the end and the finish. It was always obvious that Nick was gonna come back, but I didn't expect them to limit his moves because his leg is injured, and when he comes back, he becomes more limited. But before that happens, Matt Jackson acts as the whipping boy. Death Triangle cut the ring in half. He has some nice comeback spots with those Northern Light suplexes. Kenny's the hot tag, but he gets overwhelmed with the numbers. They're all back to full strength, and then when Nick comes back, he's hot tagged in, and then he is obviously hurt, so they story told the shit out of this. And yes, I know the Bucks are famous for their high-flying stuff, for their show stealer matches, for no selling back in the day, for all of the flips, but they fucking sell. Do you guys even watch the fucking match? The Elite have to be the most overhated team, or the most overhated people just because of what one dude says and what fucking mindless people who don't have their own opinions fucking regurgitate what that dude says. Just like Will Ospreay. Have you fucking seen any of Will Ospreay's matches right now? And yet fucking people are praising Logan Paul more, even when Will does it better. It's that fucking pro WWE anti-indie bias mixed with just people regurgitating what Jim Cornette says. Even if people change, fucking Will Ospreay has changed. The Young Bucks have changed. Kenny Omega has changed. They have better fucking matches than those fucking 1970s, 1980s fucking NWA old fucking farts who start their promos with, "Let me tell you something." Okay, so let's get back to the match. Nick Jackson makes a comeback. Right when his team need him the most, he isn't able to fly because of his injury, and he consistently sells the fucking leg to the end. Because the finish of the match is a super kick that's stopped by Fenix, he's held in this position. Penta hammers the shit out of his leg, effectively taking him out. Rey Fenix accepts the evil, he accepts the dark side, and then he does a knee bar for the win. Death Triangle win by submission to go up 3-1. Okay, so for the top 3 spots of the match, number 3 is the Northern Lights suplex by Matt Jackson as like a sign of life in the match. Next is the finish, hammer hit to Nick Jackson's leg for the win, consistently sold, and then simple tap out finish. As for the number 1 spot of the match, it's the pile driver to the apron, I think to Matt Jackson. He takes a shitload of offense. So yeah, after the match, the Elite are having none of it. Also, the crowd aren't into them until they set the stipulations for the next 3 matches. So no DQ, false count anywhere, and then Escalera de la Muerte if it reaches a 7th match, which it will. You gotta sell some pay-per-views. So for the rating of this match, it has to be maybe TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. It was alright, but with the context around it, just the fatigue of seeing both of these teams wrestle over and over again, it's docked some points, even if it's a really good match. Okay, so after this is MJF's promo with Alex Marvez. So MJF in this promo downplays Ricky Starks' star-making performance last week, like the promo against MJF. He does it in his like usual animated way while putting himself over. He overplays it a bit. It gets really funny, but the consistency of his character is broken when he went on about his like perfect life. Dude, months ago you were talking about how you were bullied, how you didn't like get accepted in the WWE or by your heroes. Come on, this isn't the WWE, man. People remember what you said like back then. Maybe he just like pulls all that out when he needs enough crowd sympathy or when he's gonna go up against these like bigger stars. He turns it off and on. But yeah, it's alright. He ends it with a statement comparing Ricky Starks to dust and a diamond. No, he compares Starks to a pebble that will become dust or diamond after their match. But yeah, good promo. It's very, very old school wrestling, but it's like the usual stuff, in my opinion. Ricky Starks' promo later is a lot better than this. Next is the Acclaim segment. It starts as like celebration. Caster is doing his usual like very relevant political rap all the way to the ring. They're probably gonna challenge new opponents, maybe cut a promo on Lethal, Jarrett, Singh, and Dutt, but they're attacked first. The whole team is taken out. And this sets up the tag team match, I think, at the pay-per-view. And I don't feel that this is the right match to put your tag team champions in at the pay-per-view because Jay Lethal has not won a feud in like months. I don't even remember the last feud he won, but he keeps fucking losing. And then now he gets a title shot for the tag team titles. The fuck's going on? The match should be against an established team, not like a plug-and-play, put-together TNA nostalgia bait act. I feel like Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal could be used in a better program where they actually have a shot at winning. And the Acclaimed could be facing someone else, like the Best Friends, or whoever who can probably get them a better match. I feel it was bad timing that FTR had to lose like the titles. I believe that they should have won. They should have turned heel against the Acclaimed. I feel like the Acclaimed should be like the baby faces at the end who beat Evil FTR. Having all those titles actually limits what you can do with them because of all like the company politics that goes with each title. So yeah, hopefully losing the ROH titles in such epic fashion opens them up for better stories, like the one they have with the Guns. But as for the Acclaimed, unfortunately, this is going to be like a stopgap story, stopgap feud before like the serious stuff. But I have to give Jeff Jarrett credit. He was pretty entertaining here, slap nuts. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Hopefully the feud heats up. Not very optimistic though. So after this is the Chris Jericho and JAS sort of segment, sort of promo. And this one is with Tony Schiavone. It starts with Tony just stating facts, sort of inadvertently rubbing salt on the wound of all of JAS's losses in Final Battle. What a disastrous pay-per-view for JAS. So yeah, as a response to this, Jericho announces a match against a jobber. He puts it off as just a tune-up match for the rematch against Claudio. It sets the expectations, but it also is hammered in multiple times, like even near the match itself, by commentary, by Chris himself, and it sets up well for the surprise that happens after that match. Or at the end, spoilers. So not only this, but we have finally the interaction that I've been waiting for all this time. And it's Daniel Garcia paired up with Sammy, possibly as a tag team, evidently right now as sort of senpai-kohai dynamic, the older brother and the little brother. He's gonna shadow his senior. That term is familiar, but I'm so fucking into this. This is gonna lead to like some prime comedy. Finally, maybe some personality from Garcia. We might get Sammy back. And it's gonna lead to one of these guys exiting the faction, and I think, against all hope, that it's gonna be Sammy. I mean, the right choice would be Garcia, but having Sammy get kicked out of JAS and like becoming a babyface again would be cool, and we've seen evidence of him almost like betraying, and you know what, actually like betraying Chris Jericho. So that's the only thing that makes this thing less predictable. But yeah, one of these guys is gonna go out the faction. My brain says Garcia, but my heart says Guevara. And Melo can just stay heel if she wants. And who knows, this might lead to like them fighting for Jericho's love, and I'm all in on this segment of the night so far. So after this is Jungle Boy versus Brian Cage. So I didn't watch Dynamite last week, so I didn't know the context of the match, why they're gonna have it, and apparently it's because of like revenge, as most things are in wrestling. Jungle Boy eliminated Brian Cage from the Diamond Ring Battle Royal, but Jungle Boy's ultimate target is fucking Big Bill, and I don't know why they're gonna go with this feud. I think it's kinda dumb, because his ultimate target is Christian Cage. And I know he's injured, but at least like have him involved in the storyline or something. Find a way to heat that feud up. Just have Christian involved. He still owes Jungle Boy a victory. And as for Brian Cage, I think I view him too highly than most people, or I just view Jungle Boy too lowly. I mean, it's established that Jungle Boy has the talent of taking out giants, but Brian Cage is the leader of a faction. He's a champion of Ring of Honor, and I think he should be portrayed stronger. In other words, I don't think he should be losing matches to anyone, aside from maybe the upper mid-carders, but yeah. Jungle Boy is solidly in the mid-card. He beat Luchasaurus, but he did so within an inch of his life. And I think Brian Cage is like stronger than Luchasaurus. He has like a higher power level. So this victory by Jungle Boy, for me, doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think what would have been better was just to have Jungle Boy face off against a member of the firm. That would have been alright. But you had to match him up with Brian Cage, and Brian Cage had to lose. But as for the match itself, I also have the problem that I had with the match at the pay-per-view, because they play up Brian Cage's tendency to like show off. And so he destroys the shit out of Jungle Boy while he's doing this. And I think this would have been like a nice way to protect Cage. It becomes his downfall by the end. But instead, they just had Cage destroy the shit out of Jungle Boy. The offense that Jungle Boy took is like disproportionate to what Cage took. Because if we're gonna use like the body meters from the SmackDown games, Jungle Boy's like torso and head are probably red. While I think Cage's head ends up as a red by the end. And that ends up being enough to like make him tap out and eventually like get Jungle Boy the pin for the win. Cage doesn't tap out officially, but he does tap out behind the referee's back, and I don't think this should be happening. After Jungle Boy took a shitload of offense from Cage, like this one top spot of the match candidate, which is like a lower turnbuckle leg pull to a sidewalk slam. Sidewalk backbreaker. And then another with a sort of like Destino motion sidewalk slam by Cage. I like how they play with like Cage's size as well as the tactics that Jungle Boy uses. But if they just pulled back on Cage's offense, like maybe have Jungle Boy be true to his name and like be an actual Jungle Boy, like use his agility to escape instead of having like 100 heart, just taking everything and then getting back up. That would have made more sense and it would have been a better match. But yeah, he takes like finisher level offense and still manages to like secure the win. But yeah, top spot of the match is this spinning full Nelson slam that looked sick, and it's top spot of the match. So the finish of the match is Cage takes out Nana by accident. He attempts a Rainmaker, he lariats Nana off of the ropes. Jungle Boy does an O'Connor roll-up out of nowhere for the win and beats Brian Cage. The match is solid, but I don't like that Jungle Boy took too much offense, and I also don't like how Brian Cage pretty much looked like a chump here. His power level is too high, like in my mind, for him to be losing against Jungle Boy. So after the match, Moriarty and Big Bill beat the shit out of Jungle Boy. Like they laid into him. They hit him with everything before Hook shows up. And this is what I hated the fucking most. It's because Hook enters and then this like scares off all of the firm, which makes them look really weak. Because I think it was established that Hook, like his competition has been like lower card. That's why he's been dominating. So when he finally got to wrestle like real, like main show level wrestlers, he was having trouble. Like the one with Ange and Daddy Magic with Bear something, his teammate, I forgot. But yeah, Hook should not instill this much fear, especially to a dude who's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. So yeah, Big Bill, like just like Brian Cage, looks like a chump here. He's like a 36 to 37-year-old man against like two 20-year-olds, and he just runs away from them. I don't like this feud. I don't like this team up. I mean, they do look alike, so visually, it makes sense. But, like, as a sort of way to move up this feud, I don't know about that. I guess it's good for Hook since he gets on the main show. He gets to be featured regularly now. But I think they're fumbling this storyline. They're fumbling Jungle Boy's follow-up to the Luchasaurus feud. And yeah, it's disappointing. We'll see how this goes, but currently this is my least favorite feud. So after this is the BCC promo. Mox cuts a promo for the team at the start, and he is undeniably the best promo if he tries, if he like wants to cut a good promo. Danielson is the best on the regular. And then Claudio and Wheeler show sparks. Mostly Claudio because of the experience, but the promos they cut here were like really good. And they get to speak now, like all of them, so it actually feels more like a cohesive team that even on promos, they like know how to follow each other up. Topic of the promo is a bit broad. So first Sammy, then Hangman, and then putting everyone on notice. So yeah, it's alright, but not the best. After this is Swerve's promo. They tease an encounter between him and Keith Lee next week, finally starting up the feud between them, like proper. And as for Swerve's new character change, it's a bit of like the franchise player gimmick. He sounds and looks like he has so much main event level potential, but the problem with this is when the break happened. Because the definitive break happens at Final Battle, and not everyone saw it. But as for the rest of the feud, optics are looking good. It's just up to them to deliver next week. So after this is the House of Black versus the Factory. So at least they're not facing actual enhancement talent. They're facing like lower card dudes who are jobber-like but aren't really jobbers. But yeah, they should be in like an actual feud. They should be like fighting someone else. Maybe individually challenged for other titles. But the match itself here made them look so strong. Especially against a or like just a little bit above of a jobber faction. They're not Peter Avalon and Nick Nemeth. They're just like a tier above. But yeah, this was an annihilation. I also like how it happened because Julia Hart and Lee Johnson are on opposite sides. And it would have been cool to like have something happen between them. It would have set Lee Johnson apart more, made him like a lot more special in that faction. Like he can be instrumental to the fall of the House of Black years from now. But yeah, everyone from the House of Black looks strong here, even Julia Hart, who takes out Nick Comoroto, who I think should have taken out Lee Johnson instead, just for the storytelling. The rest of the factory get taken out by like just Buddy and Brody, while QT and Malachi are just in the ring. Spot of the match is like this pump handle by Buddy to Lee on to Cole Carter. And then just to end the whole thing, from 2v4 it becomes 3v1 when the house surrounds QT and then he gets black masked. Malachi pins 1, 2, 3. This is how you present them. This is how like their matches should end. Malachi should get the pin all the time. He himself should not get pinned. They should be the top threat to everyone. But right now might be the worst time because your world champion is MJF. He's gonna hold on to that belt for the longest time. Your TNT champ is Samoa Joe. He needs to drop it to a babyface before he can lose it to anyone in the House of Black. I can see Buddy and Brody or the Kings of the Black Throne like taking the titles from the Acclaimed and eventually dropping them to FTR down the road, which could then lead to FTR's heel turn. I think All Atlantic Championship is too low for them. Maybe have Buddy win that one while Malachi and Brody are like tag team champions. They are a really awesome faction that I think is limited by the fact that MJF is world champion. And so after this is the Jamie Shida promo feud build-up. And I think it's too early to be having this feud. Since, I mean, Shida should be higher up in the card. I view her higher than I think how Tony Khan views them. But I think having Shida face Jamie this early, I think, takes away the mystery from the feud. It makes it more obvious. If you had it like a couple of months when they're both built up more, especially Shida, when she's built up again, since she's descended down the card, the match could become a lot more unpredictable. I mean, of course, I think she's gonna lose it to Britt, and that's when the breakup happens. But having this feud like just be right before that, I think would have a better like effect on the story. Having it this early is just pretty throwaway because we know Jamie isn't losing it right away. It's just like the feud between Danielson and MJF. I think that's happening too early. I think MJF should have like taken out Danielson, sideline him for like a couple of like weeks or months, have it on the next pay-per-view. Maybe have the main event of the next one be a rematch or have it against someone else, just someone else, not Danielson, who I think is one of the prime candidates to like take the title from MJF. Yeah, I'm talking about MJF now. But as for this feud, I don't like the placement, but as for the promo work, I mean it does the job. I mean, Jamie Hayter is a great promo. I think better than most people on the roster. And then Shida still continues in being the best Japanese wrestler to cut English promos like ever, and it's not even close. So yeah, this does the job, but why is this happening on a normal Dynamite? This should be at the pay-per-view, but it's happening next week. Yeah, this is some stupid shit right here. This makes it even worse to have the title match on a normal Dynamite. It's just like, how do I compare this to anything? It's just like FTR facing off against the Acclaimed last week, or I forgot which week that was, but what a stupid choice, just like in this one. So after this is Britt Baker's encounter with Sky Blue, and yeah, Britt's like as usual, she's like really good in the promo, but she ends up carrying this whole thing by herself because Sky just cut a Dante Martin promo from back when like Dante said, I keep saying this every week, but it's been a long time since I've said it, but it's when Dante cut the I see your admiration for my potential, but next week on Rampage, I will defeat you. Yeah, it's that kind of promo. It's so robotic. Sky Blue's a robot. She needs some lessons from Dante Martin, who has gotten better. So yeah, not a very good promo from Sky Blue. Britt carried the shit out of this. Maybe some reps will help, but yeah, not a very good one. Might be worse. And so after this is Chris Jericho versus Action Andretti. This is the most controversial match of the night. It's also the most praised, but one that will be judged on how his opponent turns out, like how his opponent's future will turn out in the company. Because this is Chris Jericho's Fandango match of AEW, where he loses to like someone who isn't very famous, lower card guy, just a new guy, whose gimmick is pretty much like just very limited to lower card, just like Fandango. Like Sean Dean with MJF, but Sean Dean has more potential than I think both Fandango and Action Andretti. Those wins weren't clean too, so yeah. But as for the match, I like the story they told, and I understand that, I mean, it had to be a no-name jobber for like the greatest effect. But man, this could have been Konosuke Takeshita. This could have been anyone else who they've been building up, who hasn't been getting any wins, like Takeshita. Andretti, I mean, he isn't the best in the ring. When I like watched, he does like the high flying Will Ospreay style, but he like sort of just isn't that great yet. He still hasn't reached that level when it's like seamless like Pac or Will Ospreay or even the Young Bucks. Like his in-ring talent wasn't the main appeal here, it's his status as pretty much a jobber. He got the fans chanting, "Let's go jobber." And I guess the shock value helped a lot. So yeah. This crowd was behind him from the start. This was actually like a great crowd all throughout the night. They cheered for every match, even the women's match that doesn't get much cheers usually. So yeah, they cheer "Let's go jobber." They're behind him the whole time. And I think this is planned. I don't think this was an audible. I mean, Chris Jericho would never like just audible and lose to someone when he's booked to win, I think. But I don't know if Andretti's the right dude. But yeah, as for the story of the match, Jericho beat the shit out of him. This was a match like made for a smart crowd like Dallas. This wouldn't have worked anywhere else. He was dynamite in the ring, no pun intended, at points, but at some, especially near the end, it sort of like gets a little bit sloppy. But yeah, the dude can lurk as good as Tamatonga. He can fly, not as good as Osprey, but like with some little more reps, he can get there. And that tornillo to Jericho was just sick. That's like one of the top spots of the match. But the spot of the match is when he kicked out of a code breaker, which I think is more than enough to take out most people, even like just like people who are like over the tier of jobber, who are like just lower card guys. This should be enough usually, but I mean, this guy was special. You could feel it in the air. You could feel it in Jericho's look that he got more than what he bargained for. The offense that Andretti takes is not as disproportionate as the one with Cage and Jungle Boy. Jericho doesn't use a lot of like finisher level moves on him. And you could see visibly on Jericho that he's like being distracted by the crowd. They're getting to him just a little bit too much. Andretti finally gets control after like a missed Judas effect that most people thought would be it, to a disaster kick, and then a clothesline to the outside, and then a diving move to the outside as well. And then as for the finish, it's like a spike counter DDT. Chris Jericho does it like a headstand. We get a running shooting star press for the win. Andretti could have just done a little bit more to maybe make Jericho look a little bit stronger, maybe like a diving move instead of just a shooting star on the floor, like a grounded running shooting star press. But yeah, same effect. Jericho just looks weaker in the end. So yeah, that DDT was a bit janky, but the crowd still loved the result in the end. So yeah, Andretti won clean as a whistle. The match had some bad to slow spots, but overall Andretti performed really well and he rose to the occasion. This match is TV main event level. Same with the Jungle Boy versus Cage match. I forgot to give that one a rating. So yeah, both of those are TV main event. So after this is the Ricky Starks promo. And such poor volume in these things. It goes on throughout the rest of the night in this setting. And yeah, it's a shit problem by AEW that they don't fix. Like even up to the end of the show. But yeah, when the volume picks up, the promo is really good. He brings it. He rags on MJF, but I think he's greatly underestimating MJF's crowd appeal, but makes it sound like what he's saying is the truth, so the crowd get behind him. He's like the true hero babyface promo, true hero babyface character. It's like spirit bomb gathering energy from everyone, but he isn't going to win. But yeah, this is a nice promo to like cap this whole part of this story off. Leaves Ricky Starks looking strong, even when he's gonna lose in a disappointing fashion at like the end of the night. And he did good enough to like be set up in something next week. In like the Christmas Bash episode. So yeah. Great promo, almost segment of the night. Maybe it's number 2. Next is FTR's promo versus the Ass Boys. So after being attacked after that Match of the Year candidate, we have a very short and straight to the point promo where it's FTR just talking about the Ass Boys' daddy issues. It's been put off for like a lot of weeks except for that Briscoes versus FTR match. For me, it should have been built more. And I don't know when the match is going to happen, but it should be in a pay-per-view. The Ass Boys should be built more. And yeah, for me, this feud will elevate the Ass Boys. It's a lateral move for FTR, but if you want to elevate those Ass Boys, like who better to put them in the ring with other than FTR? They have no more titles to put on the line, so that's pretty sad. But at least it makes it more unpredictable. I think FTR is gonna win. But if they're gonna leave, just like what people want them to do, to leave, to go back to Daddy H. I mean, Ass Boys can win. They're pretty over, but not as over as the Acclaimed. But yeah, for me, FTR is gonna win. They're gonna stay. This feud is the first like proper storyline that they've had for a long time. That's not like banned by networks, just like with the Briscoes. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm liking it so far. The Ass Boys' character work like is on par or just like a little bit less than the Acclaimed. So it's gonna work on that department. They just have to deliver like in ring when the time comes. So after this is Chris Jericho going berserk. It's a funny just continuation of what happened against Action Andretti. Chris Jericho just tears shit up backstage. But what would have been funny is to like have this in multiple segments after like some matches, after some promos, just like show this, just have Jericho destroy everything until next week. That would have been funnier, but this was okay. So after this is Melo versus Ruby Soho. So very underrated by the fans, Ruby Soho is. She's their best seller. She's like, now with the roster changes, maybe like top 5 women in the division, where she used to be top 3. And I think fans just like hate her because she used to work in the WWE. But yeah, she's really good here. She's being given more opportunities, but not very much not very much significant wins. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But yeah, as for this match, I think Melo carried the shit out of this. I mean, Ruby like wasn't 100% for me. She wasn't as nimble as she used to be. Selling is still there. Like audibly, she's the best seller in the division. And they managed to deliver like a hard-hitting match. This was like surprisingly good. Like the heel work from Melo is like proportional to like Ruby's audible selling. Like Ty is such a heel, so loud, and it makes up for the wrestling being just okay. Like she does like taunts and stuff. She yells a lot. She even tears up a fan sign that Taz buries. It was a terrible sign. No offense. And this got a louder reaction than most AEW women's matches that are a lot better than this. Tay can, like, really draw heat. And as for Ruby, she could have been better here. I mean, she just came back, so maybe that could be used an excuse. That could be used as an excuse. But yeah, Tay carried the match. I didn't ever think I was going to say that, but yeah, she carried the shit out of the match. Ruby's comeback was alright, but it wasn't like amazing or anything. It was just okay. Just like a terrible knee that's not the best sold to a destination unknown for the win. Or is it the No Future? It's confusing with Ruby Soho's finisher names. They even called it like a Blade Runner back then. And so yeah, glad the women's match was well received. It's Tay's best. I'm gonna give it maybe TV main event as well. We're getting a lot of like TV main event scores in this show, but I mean it's still a really solid show by the end. The show is carried by the start and the end matches, as well as just like the reactions to it. It's like pretty much boosted by the crowd. From just a little bit above average, just like a cunt's hair above average, to like a proper above average show. But after this, we need to extend the feud even more with JAS. Anna Jay attacks Ruby, setting up their match, but that should be on Rampage. Anna Jay isn't as good as Melo. So yeah, is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anna Jay versus Ruby Soho. Let's just move on to the next one. So yeah, after this is the Hangman Page promo. So still his usual symphony garnering promo, great emotional one with maybe one of the best lines he's had yet. And it's like him talking about the concussion and how he forgot his son's name, his child's name. I forgot if it was a son or a daughter, but he forgot his child's name, and that's how it works. That's how concussions work, Hangman. But yes, still touching. Nice that you like address the clinical symptoms of concussions. But yeah, I mean, such a great delivery. It really gets a crowd behind someone when you say something like this. But I think he should just like scale it down a bit. I mean, you can't be like weak all the time. You can't be like Hangman's emotional, mentally compromised state all the time. He needs to be like strong. He needs to be a badass again. Like, it shouldn't be all doom and gloom with Hangman. Like, if you want to build a baby face who people take seriously, it shouldn't be all, oh, look at me, look how much I suffer and stuff. It should be like him being a badass too. So that's why I like the opinion of, I think it was Kate from Fightful, that Hangman should threaten to like concuss Moxley so he'll forget his daughter's name. That'll be amazing. Hangman shouldn't appear weak all the time. There should be a balance. You could have like this crowd sympathy garnering promos, but not to the point where it's like all that you are. But it was a great way to like heat up this feud, as long as he doesn't like do it even more. As long as he doesn't repeat the same shit over and over again. This still makes him like the top protagonist of AEW, in my opinion. You can suck my dick on that, motherfuckers. So yeah, after this is the Dustin Rhodes and Best Friends versus Kip Sabian's new faction promo. It's a 4-on-4. I forgot who Kip Sabian's fourth man was, but yeah, it's the Best Friends with Dustin Rhodes. And the audio, again, was shit at the start. It ruins promos. And yeah, I was sort of pissed off because this is Dustin Rhodes we're talking about. The man who's going to retire after a year. I think he should be used starting right now. He should have like a title reign with any title. He might also be the one to beat up MJF. Like, I'm just saying, just putting that idea out there. Have him beat MJF for the title, or maybe have MJF beat him, maybe bring back Cody if you can, but unlikely. So yeah, this should be the start of Dustin's ascent. And pairing him up with the Best Friends and this spooky boy right here is not a bad place to start. I believe they need to build him up for a pay-per-view match down the roads, pun intended, until like someone finally retires him. Maybe like have him lose a championship. Just give him a title. Have this be the start. Maybe have Danhausen retire him or something. I don't know. But yeah, Dustin Rhodes needs to go out with a bang because, I mean, God knows his career with the WWE did not go out with much fanfare or like with much of a bang. He needs to like go out like a hero in AEW for how he started his career there. Like the match he had with Cody. Yeah, I was thinking of like a program where like Dustin loses, Cody beats MJF, but with Cody not being in the roster, it doesn't make sense anymore. So maybe have Dustin win something instead. That'll send like his fans home happy. That'll send him home with all the glory in the world. And then for the main event, we have MJF versus Ricky Starks for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. So yeah, the Diamond Ring is taken away by the ref, so MJF can't use it, but the way he wins this match is just like fucking terrible. I asked like other people, and they seem to like this move, but I mean, I think MJF should have a finisher. Like, just have like devastating finishing moves that'll make your opponent look stronger than being like kicked in the balls and being pinned. Spoilers. It's like a Ric Flair sort of thing. It's also pretty bad in video games where you don't have a finisher because, I mean, yeah, it's like harder to win with you. It's unpredictable, yes, but if you do it too much, if you cheat all the time, it's just like that becomes a finisher in itself, and it's not a very cool finisher. Like maybe have a finisher that comes out of nowhere. I don't know. Not an RKO, of course, but just think of something, MJF. Because the power bomb to the back is almost it. Maybe a long blower would be nice, but just something else more devastating other than a punch with the ring or maybe a kick to the balls. Like just like not that. But as for this match, I guess this is how all of MJF's title defenses are gonna happen from now on. A lot of taunts. I mean, a lot of like padding to the match. MJF does like the Fargo strut again. Now he's becoming more like Ric Flair. But yeah, change it up sometimes. Maybe when he gets more agile opponents. But yeah, I like that since we have two very mouthy boys in this match, they bring it with their mouths at the start. That sounds wrong. But yeah, they trash talk the shit out of each other. It looks very natural and it looks like they're actually saying stuff to each other. And then as for the match itself, it's like a nice gradual build without taking naps. I like that they don't go balls to the walls that the Elite do sometimes. Like a lot of times. They start out very fast. I think they should take the no approach where it's like a medium pace to start or even slow, and then they just build it up to like just like a fast, hard-hitting ending. So yeah, there was like not much naps going on here. It really annoys me when they do like just lying on the floor all of the time just to pad out matches. I think they padded out this match effectively. MJF's working of Ricky Starks' back comes out as methodical, slow, just like him taking his sweet damn time. There are some points that felt a little bit slow for Ricky and MJF since I don't think they worked each other like a lot since they're both heels in most of their AEW runs. But yeah, I mean, just repetition is going to solve this problem going forward. A spot I didn't like was MJF biting, or it looked more like MJF lovingly kissing Ricky Starks' abdomen. This looked so wrong to be doing in the fight. Like, even Cornette fans, I think, can agree that this was a stupid spot. You're working the guy's back, but you bite on his abdomen. Like, what the fuck? Like, the fisting of the abdomen was like enough. It was perfect. But the bite was just lame and dumb. Ricky's comeback was like nice and fast. It's simple. He does a more varied offense than Finn Balor did back in the day. And that's the minimum, lower limit, I think. First spot of the match, candidate almost looks like a sort of like botched, failed Hurricane Rana attempt. But they play it smart and turn it into a Liger bomb that MJF kicks out of at like 2.99, like literally 2.99 with the bar on top. The ref's hand was down and MJF just kicked out like just a little bit before this. We also get what MJF's finisher should be, or like this could be like a great setup move to his finish, and it's the power bomb to the knee. This move just looks sick. This is the move that gets the "This is awesome" chant, but I sort of disagree. It should have been like the strike battle that they have, where MJF does like a spinning elbow, spinning forearm, discus forearm, whatever, and then Starks ends it with a spear. This leads to MJF playing possum, and then him getting Ricky Starks in the Salt of the Earth, which is a meh submission finisher. I mean, the figure four leg lock is a lot better. It's a lot more visually appealing to watch. The Salt of the Earth or like the Fujiwara armbar, not so much. Like the submission that he does after looks like a lot better. And it's just him being dynamic and keeping Ricky Starks away from the ropes by doing modified submissions. And then there is this like almost botch that is a lot more evident, but they managed to make it work after, and it's like the sort of bridging pin MJF tries to like get up, but they fall down. It's a lot more evident, but since the ref counted, it looks like it was planned. But yeah, the way MJF counters this is an awesome power bomb. I think it was a power bomb. And as for the finish, it's a struggle for the Rochambeau. MJF uses the ref as a shield, low blows Ricky, and then gets the pin. Lame on MJF. Give this man a finishing move. Just please. Have him use the low blow as a setup and then have him do the finishing move. Come on. But yeah, at least he doesn't use the ring to knock people out anymore. Or Nux. But man, this guy should finish matches in more ways than just cheating. Because yes, it could be unpredictable when the match ends, but if you just have him do this all the time, we're gonna see this coming, and we're just gonna be waiting for him to cheat and then have that be his actual finish. So yeah, as for this match, I'm gonna give it maybe pay-per-view undercard, TV main event. Yeah, it's all right. None of the matches here on Dynamite really transcended, but they were all very solid, and the crowd reactions make them seem better than they are. So yeah, this was a great Dynamite. Dallas, such an awesome crowd. And I forgot, post-match segment, MJF is chased out of the arena by Danielson, setting up the match between them, I think, for the next pay-per-view. So yeah, great Dynamite, all matches solid. No standout, like I said. Nothing that'll blow your mind. Promo-wise, stories I wanted to see, in months, were just featured here. But nothing really grabs you. Nothing MJF level promo or something, or a Hangman CM Punk thing. It was just all right. Just the crowd just brought this show from maybe a 7 to an 8. So yeah, I also like that the best of 7 is gaining more intensity, but it just got a lot more predictable with the stipulation. Jungle Boy and Hook, I'm not feeling this pairing. We'll see what happens, like I say with most things. But yeah, great Dynamite. I enjoyed watching this. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make reviews of next week's. We'll see. We'll see. Shit's getting busier, but I'm probably going to be reviewing Rampage and another show, maybe the Ring of Honor show or a Japanese show. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just save it for the next Dynamite. We'll see what happens. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos. And please, watch my shit.